We plead innocent to all charges, claims, accusations, allegations, and associations connected to the Klansmen in the Oval Office. So help me God.
The new Spike Lee joint, Da 5 Bloods, is finally here, and thank God 2020 has something good, no, something great to talk about, which is this new film. Featuring fantastic performances, a phenomenal soundtrack, and great cinematography, this is all around a must-watch movie, and it has a lot to talk about. The surface-level story is that of 4 Vietnam vets who are going back to Vietnam to look for a buried treasure, calling back to the classic Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which it draws inspiration from in several scenes. The Fifth Blood, which the title refers to, is the gang's mythic war hero squadron leader titled Stormin' Norman, played by the brilliantly cast Chadwich Boseman, who with very little screen time manages to glow. Boseman is a real-world Hollywood hero, and this casting decision relates the audience to his character immediately. So while these 4 vets are going back for a treasure they buried during the war, they also hope to find Stormin' Norman's remains so he can be buried properly. But before they set off, Paul's son David shows up and demands to be cut in on the buried gold. Paul is played by Delyor Lindo and David by Jonathon Mayors. They are both my favorite performances of the film, and Lindo specifically deserves an Oscar for his raw, devastating, emotional performance as the Trump-supporting victim of post-traumatic stress disorder. While on the surface, this film is about finding a buried treasure and a dead hero, underneath this exciting layer is the more important context of the African-American involvement in the Vietnam War.
Negroes are only 11% of the U.S. population, but among troops here in Vietnam, you are 32%.
32% of the American forces in Vietnam were African-American men. Men fighting for freedom they didn't have. In this sense, and as Stormin' Norman explains, they, the black community, are owed this gold by the U.S. government. This is the motto and rallying cry of our 5 Bloods. More importantly, it's the rallying cry of the American people now. Black Lives Matter. It's a shocking reality when considering how the U.S. government abused a community that barely even had freedom during this war.
America and shoot them for what?
Spike Lee opens his film with a quote from Muhammad Ali, who openly opposed the Vietnam War, costing him his championship title. And the film ends with Martin Luther King, delivering a speech exactly 1 year before he was killed. King opposed the war, and perhaps this new focus was the final straw leading to his assassination. King quotes poet Langston Hughes, "Let America be America again." This is the true focus of Lee's film, but as the seasoned filmmaker that he is, and as Blackkklansman does a phenomenal job of reeling its audience in before laying on its heavy context, Da 5 Bloods does this just as well. For being 2.5 hours long, this film does an incredible job flowing through its 3 acts. The editing and writing work hand in hand to create an easily digestible film that also ranges in its weight and emotion. For instance, Act 1 had me laughing out loud several times, and by the 3rd act, I was crying with a box of tissues in hand. While early on the story seems predictable, it's excusable because of the range of substance in Lee's script. For example, while the characters embody war movie stereotypes, the war hero, the medic, the goofball, the hothead, it's their actions throughout the film that prove to be unpredictable. I had no idea how this film would end, and I honestly wasn't worried about it till the end came around. There's also a few flashbacks to the Vietnam War that are cleverly intertwined into the story, providing important backstory. These scenes are also where Stormin' Norman exist. It should be understood, though, that while this isn't a war film, there are moments of extreme violence exhibiting the horrors of war. which is important considering our character's perspective. These flashbacks are also where cinematographer Newton Thomas Sigel gets to flex his talent as he morphs aspect ratios to relay when a flashback is occurring. While at first the flashbacks are a little jarring, it honestly became something I looked forward to throughout the film. Not only is the cinematography great, but the original score from longtime collaborator Terence Blanchard is on point. I was very impressed with his work in Blackkklansman, and this time around he's just as good. I'd really love to see him get recognized again at the Oscars. I also have to mention that the use of Marvin Gaye's album What's Going On is perfect. It's always used at just the right time, even when you wouldn't expect it to blend. Overall, this film does it all right. From the acting to the visuals to the score, it's all great and working together for one purpose. I think Spike Lee's newest film released at a pinnacle time where our country is more susceptible to receive his important message about systemic racism that dates back clearly to the Vietnam War and, of course, further. This message is delivered by extremely talented black individuals whose passion for this message drives them to new artistic limits.
God spoke to me. I said, God, why you waking my black ass up?
This is cinematic entertainment in its most crucial form, which is to inform. We can only hope that those who really need to hear this message will fucking listen. Go watch The Five Bloods. I did first thing in the morning on Friday when it released, and I immediately turned on the microphone and started talking because I was just so excited to share this movie. While I didn't have the pleasure of creating this film, I can still use my small platform to stand with this movement, the movement this film supports. Black Lives Matter. We need to end the systemic racism that America is built on. And as an American, I just don't believe it's okay to be silent. Let's work together to end police brutality. Let America be America again. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're actually listening to this point of the video, then you were one of the 5% who do, and I appreciate the hell out of you. Please check out my Patreon if you're so inclined. I'd appreciate it. Love you. Bye-bye.